had to have when they sat at those lunch counters. I'm sitting here because I love you, because I love this country, because I want you to be better. And so what happens is that they accepted things that you would never accept in your life, and that you would think in your mind, in your right mind, you wouldn't accept. But he said, okay, as they're going to throw us in prison, everybody else stepped up and said, okay, let's fill them up. Let's fill up the prisons so you don't have any more room to put any of us. And as we filled up those prisons, it was as if we started to pull at the heartstrings of those moderates, those good-meaning folks that were saying, well, why you gotta go through all of this? But then all of a sudden, there became this outcry. You guys, we have social media today. Social media. And so now everything is not about waiting for the 6 and 11 o'clock news. It's happening every moment of every day. The moment you pull out your camera and you go live. We all have that ability. We can report on the injustices that we see, and we can call people on the carpet for the things that they do. Because a lot of times the people don't even see. It becomes this angry face of this angry mask that gets mad at this faceless person. And they don't even put a name to it. Who was the guy who got arrested over in D.C. that was, and they did the beer party. They sat down and had beer, Obama and them did. Do you guys remember his name? He was
Henry Louis Gates.
Henry Louis Gates, right? And well respected. But you know what they saw when they pulled him over? They just saw his black skin. And so at a certain point, what we have to do is start calling the injustices we see. We have to start calling them out and pointing them out. And it's not an inconvenience to do so. It's not us crying and whining over something. It's saying, hey, let me show you the mirror. Let me show you what it looks like. And at a certain point, all of us have to call to question the actions that we do, what it is that we say. You know, I am good for, as I listen to other people, it's amazing to me. Because when folks talk about folks, I'm always like, what's that about? It's like one of those things, like even as we listen to our self-talk, I'm so clumsy. It's like, don't talk about my friend like that. I'm so this, I'm so that. Yeah, no, you're not.
I am.
Right. So we have to start speaking love and speaking power over our words. If you guys watched President Obama's farewell speech this week, how many of you guys welled up? I mean, got the tears in your eyes. And as he closed out that speech, he closed it out by speaking power over our young people, speaking a blessing over our young people. And maybe sometimes we don't always know or understand that that's what he's doing, but he's saying, I see in you our future. I know that you have it within your ability to love, to be good people, to contribute something to this country, and not love it because of what you think you can get out of it, because this is... if we perish, we all perish together. We are in a mutual web. Isn't that what Martin Luther King said? Our destinies are tied together necessarily. And so only to the degree that we see ourselves in love, only to the degree that we prosper, can anybody else do so. We all go together, or don't any of us go. What is that like? If I got food and you're sitting next door to me and you're hungry, what does that look like? At a certain point, we have to recognize that as I fight for myself, I also have to fight for my neighbor. It used to be a time when people did that without even thinking about it. We can see from the history books that all of us felt like we were totally tied together. But okay, here's the other thing that happened this week that I saw. A friend of mine insisted that I watch a video on Grand Theft Auto. Have you guys ever watched those video games? No. I had not. It was not something that was even in my consciousness. I had no desire to look at it. And I started watching the video. Tira's nodding her head because she's younger. I started watching the video. what it looks like is that it's looking through your eyes, and what you see is your own hand and a gun at the end of your hand, and you're shooting people. You see your hand and you go up and you hit some stranger that's just standing there. I mean, and the look of these games is so realistic. It's as if these people are actual people that you're attacking. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, why? Why? Why is that amusing? Why would you get caught up into that? But then the psychology behind it. How does that make you act towards regular people? I mean, we live in these worlds of virtual reality, and people are there. Why? Because they're numbing themselves. Because there's a part of them that maybe their life as it is isn't quite good enough. Maybe there's some frustration that they're getting out. I don't know what it is, but I mean, I can't help but think of how diminishing to our own spirit, diminishing to those that are around us. I mean, it just seems like it puts us in a place where we can't experience love because we see amusement in hurting other people. And these people that are on this thing, yeah, maybe they're not real, but it's what does that do to us? And there's this escapism, there's this wanting to escape our reality as it is. So we go around and we do all of this stuff. You guys, as I watched some of this stuff, I thought to myself, this is the stuff that we see playing out. I mean, this is the 4 boys that attacked the little retarded guy this week. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to use that word.
We know.
Yeah, okay. It was those boys that attacked him. Those are the kinds of things we see played out as a result of what happens, you know? And so we have to be about the business of trying to figure out how it is that we do an about face to this. Martin Luther King talked about it, and he talked about it, our need to love, our need to see ourselves as connected to one another, our need to understand that we're all tied together, and unless one of us, you know, unless all of us are in this together, unless all of us are succeeding, none of it, because we will be annihilated together. When we look at what's happening on the world stage, when we look at our president-elect that's coming into office, when we look at all of these things, our destiny is tied to his destiny. Because this is the person who has his hand on the, you know, on those nuclear codes, who has his hand on those buttons. And so unless we start to speak up about love, yes, we can all end up perishing together with this crazy hate. Yes. It's a shame as we look at and we hear the stuff over and over again of people not understanding what it is, the power in their words, the disconnect that it's a shame that we're not understanding this. And you know what? And sometimes it's not enough for us just to kind of like shake our heads and go, Sometimes we have to start speaking truth to power. Yes. And I know for me, I don't always speak up. I know sometimes, you know, I was in the line this week at the grocery store and this lady was saying some stuff and I was like, you know, I just turned around and I looked. And I didn't say anything because I was thinking to myself, okay, that way. But, you know, I will say, I got in the line, and I go to the grocery store. When I go to the grocery store, I always think to myself, okay, I look around at people and I get in the line. And I spoke to the lady in front of me because I thought to myself, you know, I'm never in a place by accident. I'm always in my divine right place. So I spoke, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, she's my assignment. So I struck up a conversation with her. Hey, how you doing? You know, blah, blah, blah. And we started a conversation. But then there was 2 ladies that got in line behind me. And the one that was behind me, she started talking to the one, you know, behind her. And she was like, yeah, you know, they closing down the Giant Eagle. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, what a shame. This is what I'm thinking to myself as I'm talking to the lady in front of me. Yeah, what a shame when we close down the grocery stores that are in our community and people rely on these stores being closed. I mean, how do you have what they call a food desert in places like this where people don't have cars a lot of times to get where they need to go? I was thinking to myself, what a shame. And she was like, you know, that's how they do us. That's blah, 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 blah. I need, you know that. And I'm just waiting for that. And I'm thinking to myself, ooh, negative Nelly. That's what I thought. Negative Nelly. In my mind, but I never turned around because I thought the woman in front of me was my assignment. and so it's so funny because, you know, the lady said, she was like, yeah, it's a shame to see Obama leaving office. And the woman was like, a shame? But what, he ain't done nothing for me. And I'm thinking to myself like, so I turn around and I look. And I was thinking to myself from the previous thought about the giant eagle, I was like, I knew she was going to go there because that was negative Nelly. And it never dawned on me, because I was so busy concerned about what was ahead of me, that what was behind me was the conversation I was supposed to have. And so it becomes this thing of where are we not showing up? I'm always talking about showing up. And where are we not showing up? Yeah, we won't change people's mind. I ran into another lady yesterday, the same kind of conversation. And in my mind, I'm having the conversation with her, and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I'm not here to have an argument, because that's not what I do. But what I am here to do is love you, regardless of what you say and how you treat me. You know, your thoughts or anything else like that. I'm here to show up, and I'm here to love you. That was what I was supposed to do. And a lot of times what I do, you know, they talk about this thing about praying. You know, I'm in my head saying, okay, God, what would you have me say here? And I listen. And if I don't hear anything, I don't say anything. I just look and I smile. Okay. Because that's, you know, I'm all about planting seeds. You plant the seeds. Somebody else will come along and water it. Somebody else. It's not for me to have that argument, because I'm not trying to have that argument, because a lot of times when you have an argument, all you do is, you know, you solidify people in their positions. It becomes not about what you're talking about, but the way in which you're talking about it. People don't even, you know, they don't hear that. And so it becomes this thing of, how do I love, in spite of what you've just said, and what you've just said even about me, how do I love you anyway? Somebody said the thing about our role. Jesus told us, when, you know, somebody hits you on one cheek, turn them and offer them the other one, you know, and it becomes that thing, how do we get there? And a lot of times we don't see how, but you know, there is a way. I'm always in that space of, how do I love you a little more? And how do I speak my truth, right? Speak my truth, love you anyway. And my mother, as she was whooping me, she would say, I'm doing it because I love you. I learned that sometimes love does hurt, you know, sometimes, but it's for our own good, you know. When she used to smack your hand, she'd tell you hot. You ignore it, you're going to find out, right? You're going to find out. And so it becomes this thing of, you know, people teach you, and especially the way that they learn, but it, you know, it becomes this learning lesson. How do we get there? How do we do the thing that we need to do? So in this coming week, we're celebrating Martin Luther King. We're celebrating the holiday. We're celebrating all the ways in which we can love, and we can love unconditionally. But it becomes this thing. The course, in the front of the Course in Miracles, the introduction, it says, I always have to start at the beginning. It drives me crazy. So the opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposites. That's what it says. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposites. So we grew up learning that, you know, about the allness, you know, the allness of God. God is everywhere present, all-knowing, all-loving, all-powerful, all of that stuff. But yet and still, we try to impose an opposite on it, don't we? I mean, we want to say that there's God, but then there's the devil. And we want to make the devil an equal and opposite